Hi, and welcome to the Rust Covered Cottage by Christina. Today we're going to work on some vintage Christmas DIYs. I got this chalkboard surface from Hobby Lobby a few years ago in the clearance section, and I'm just going to heat up the labels there and remove them. I am taking Paint Couture's Farmhouse Linen, and I'm just giving it a rough coat. I do go over it twice, as you see there. Once it's completely dry, then I take a fine grit sandpaper and I sand over it to make it smooth. Now we're going to go ahead and go in with some dead flat top coat. That is my top coat of choice. And then we're going to give that a dry. And this is a stencil that I got from Essential Stencils probably 3 years ago, so I don't think it's available anymore. But I'm using a stencil brush that is also from Essential Stencils, and I'm using Paint Couture Pitch Black. And I'm just dabbing that in there to get a nice coverage for the words. We're going to take that tape off and reveal that beautiful stencil. We're going to let that be dry, and then I decided that I wanted to have a little bit of a gold accent on here. So after I fill the bridges in with a little eyeliner brush, then I'm going to get the Paint Couture Luxe Metallic and Antique Gold. And you'll see that I'll tape off probably like a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch and use the Antique Gold with a cosmetic sponge. I am adding crackle step 1 and step 2, not all over, just in random spots. So that's what you saw me just do. I'm using a clean brush in between each application, and I'm drying thoroughly before I apply step 2. So here we go. I'm taping off just a bit of the edge. Like I said, I'm going to guess it was like a 1/2 inch. I did 2 coats with the Antique Gold. I just wanted that little extra something. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to peel the tape away. And then I'm taking a little artist brush and I'm just going over some of the spots on where the stencil was, like the little hanging ornaments. And then some of that scroll work, I'm not painting it in with the gold. I'm just kind of highlighting it. All of the products that I use for the paint, the glaze, and the top coats are available on my website, therustcoveredcottage.com, and I will leave a complete product list in the description. Here I am brushing in some Van Dyke brown glaze because I want this sign to be very aged. I want it to look like it's been around for years and years and years. So I'm working that in. I'm doing it like 1/2 and then the other half. And then I'm going to wipe it back with a damp paper towel. And if you don't like that look, you could stop before I apply the glaze. Like just leave it the way it was, because it was pretty that way. It just wasn't what I was going for on this project. And there you have it. Look how beautiful that is. It looks like it's been around for years. Okay, guys, on to project 2. These vases I purchased at Target Dollar Spot, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I'm going to clean them with some alcohol and a paper towel. And then I am using a Paint Couture's Sure Prep Bonding because it is a shiny surface, so I need to give it some grit for the paint to stick to. I applied 2 coats of that, and I dried about an hour in between each application. Once it's dry, I'm taking a makeup sponge again, and I'm using Farmhouse Linen by Paint Couture, and I'm just dabbing the paint on. I do 2 very light coats on it. I'm going for an old crock kind of surface. I want to show like the crazing. I just want it to look very old. And I'm going to use the IOD Kitschy Christmas transfer book from last year's release. Here we go. I'm applying the transfers now. I grabbed a bag of rice and I laid it on there so it'd be easier for me to apply those transfers. On the small one that's real rounded, I did have to cut slits in the sides so that it would transfer onto the vase easier. And now I am applying the Paint Couture Crackle Step 1, and I am doing this all over. Make sure that your transfer is burnished down completely because you don't want it to raise. You don't want that crackle to get underneath the transfer. So I do that to all 3 vases, and then I let it dry for a while, and then I came back and I did a force dry on it before applying Step 2. I apply these layers very, very thin. I like fine crackle, and I love the unpredictability from this crackle system. Again, I force dry it for a while and I let it set for a while. And then I'm going to seal it with a satin top coat. I wanted it to have a little bit of shine, but not a lot. And then I'm going to use Paint Couture's light brown sugar glaze, and I'm applying it all over with a lightly dampened paper towel. And then you'll see it wasn't quite dark enough for me, so I went back over it and I let it set for a while. And then I took a damp paper towel and I'm kind of like just pouncing it off. I am so pleased with how these turned out. I just love them. And then I seal these with the satin top coat right here. And I do apply 2 coats of the top coat. And again, guys, all these products are available on my website. I am a retailer for Paint Couture. And I will leave a product list in the description. Okay, project number 3. This is just a Dollar Tree cutting board. I picked up a bunch of these a while back. So I'm going to remove the label, and then I'm going to clean off that adhesive with some alcohol. And I'm going to take my Van Dyke brown glaze, and we're going to stain the wood. Once it's dry, I'm going to come in with some Cozy Beige chalk paint. This is also a Paint Couture product available on my website. But before we paint it, I'm going to take just a little tea light candle and I'm applying it over the cutting board just in random spots. Because I want to have that old chippy effect. I do 2 applications of the Cozy Beige and I dry it completely. I'm just taking this little scraper and I'm scraping off the paint where the wax resisted it. And I do it in both directions. And now I'm going to go over it with a fine grit sandpaper to make everything smooth. And those Dollar Tree cutting boards are very rough on the edges, so I went over those quite a bit. And now I'm going to seal this with the dead flat top coat, and I seal the entire piece. And again, this is the Kitschy Christmas Transfer Book by IOD. I'm just cutting out this little Santa image that I want to use. And I'm just using my burnishing tool and applying that transfer. Make sure that you burnish it down once you're done so that it is adhered to the surface. I do go in with a fine grit sandpaper and I sand over the transfer. I want it again to look antiqued. I want it to look old, like it's been around for a very long time. I do it with a very light hand. I don't want to take too much of it off, but I do want to make it look worn. And then I finalize this with a top of dead flat. I'm sorry, with a coat of dead flat. And then I bring out that light brown sugar glaze again and I go over that. And that's it for this project. You guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to support my page. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you are aware when I upload a new video.